Hello, students. I'm Pierre Bouvy. I am the producer, one of the producer of As the Folds on Xbox and very soon PS4, PS5 at Internal Studio in London.
What would you say is the most valuable, I guess,
Just about to
value
ask.
that a producer
Was just about
needs
to
to
ask
have?
that.
I don't know, the most valuable thing a producer can bring, probably gathering people, but gathering in a way that it's not, obviously there's the idea of bringing people around the same table. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of things at the same time, mostly. And you need to make sure that things are flowing. And sometimes you literally need to think for other people. Just like, oh, let's not forget about that. Let's keep that on our radar. Okay, let's do that, but let's not forget about that because they're intertwined or there can be some knock-on effect for that. So I think probably being an octopus is probably the most valuable thing
Being
a
a
producer
what?
can bring. An octopus.
Oh, an
Yes,
octopus.
like
Okay.
being all over. Yeah, that sounds like you have to manage a lot of information all the time.
Yes, yes, you have to manage a lot of informations really, and you also need to get the information. You also need to give the information. Sometimes you will also get contrary information, so you need to do like, okay, which information is the right one? Who's right? Who is? It's not about being right or being wrong, but
Do you feel
you
like you
you
need to know everything? Like, if someone comes to you with a question, do you always need to have an answer or like readily available to get an answer?
No, I think in games it's really tricky, and because it's so complex, and you're how do you say you're supposed to make things easier for everybody, but because you're a producer and you're covering so many different things at the same time, there's no way you have the right answer. If someone asks you a question, okay, maybe you have the answer, but maybe you don't, but someone else will have it. So it's just about having the right people doing the right thing, if that makes sense. So if I don't have the answer, that's fine. I don't have it because obviously if a colleague is asking me for a very specific code question, how would I know? I'm not a coder or very specific design question. Either I can do it, and if I can't, I will see if I can do it, if I have to do it, or if someone else can do it, or if someone else is supposed to do it. I'm just, just directing.
I've had an instance in my work where I had a tech guy which was very overwhelmed with the amount and different types of tasks that
Mm-hmm.
we had. And we had like this talk at the where we ate together, and he was going off on the producer for not prioritizing the tasks. And it felt like, I'm not sure if the producer really did prioritize the tasks as well as he could, but it felt like it was just an easy target for the misorganization that the tech guy felt in his mind. Like, I feel like maybe the producer is an easy target sometimes. Have you felt that?
Probably yes. I don't know. I think a producer can be just like the account manager. You're the buffer between whatever happens in the agency and the client. And if the let's say if the art director is going to come up with a print, when I say print, it's just like A4 paper with some cool design on it, and the client doesn't like it. The client is not going to talk to the art director. He's going to talk to you, the account manager, and the client will yell at you, and eventually you as a project manager you will say to the art director, the client didn't like it, when the client actually, it's shit, I hate you, if you don't do it as I want, I'm going to hold any payments and I'm going to see another agency. But you can't say that. So as a producer, yes, you're the buffer as well. It kind of depends. I guess the producer has to adapt as well on the way some people and some teams can work. So for example, the audio was really well organized as people already, as a department, right? But not because I did anything, but because the people who were working in audio were already kind of organized themselves in their lives. The cinematics, they were just kind of, I'm not saying that in a bad way. This is like a real compliment, like movie nerds, right? So they're all about the scene. How do we film this? How do we make this happen? And just creative. So they're really committed to their art, really about creativity, but sometimes they would spend way too much time on something that is like we don't need it. Oh yes, but here we see the bottle for 1 second, we should see it for 2 seconds. No, because that's one additional second on screen, but that's, I don't know, an extra day of work for you. That's, if we start looking at the little details like that, we're not going anywhere. Let's just do everything, and the details we'll see later, if we can, if we want, if we have time.
And did you get pushback on that sometimes? Like, did you have arguments with people saying this has to be in now, and you're saying no, this can be pushed back?
It happened. I think it happened mostly at the end of when we're just like kind of closing the game, because the cinematics were technically done with their work. So it was now about just the time for the audio team to just do everything they needed to do, because cinematics is done. We can just technically work in peace. So I suggest the cinematics to keep them busy, to just play the game from A to Z in one go, and they would take notes. And I had like more than 800 notes on, oh, this shot should be longer. There's a camera mismatch, or this and this and this, which is nuts. Like 800 notes, just like, okay, what would you suggest, guys? Oh, we can do it in 3 weeks. Okay, that's 3 weeks. No, we can't do that, because then the audio will be 3 weeks behind. Whatever you're going to touch will have an impact on audio. So what I did is just like, okay, let's gather the notes. I'm going to have a look at those notes with audio, with the cinematics lead, and also with the creative director. And let's see what we should leave, because there's probably, let's say, 40% of those notes that we can just completely scrap. It's not going to change anything for the user, for the player. And then just triage by priority. Okay, this one is kind of an annoying one. Let's put it as very high priority, but let's look at it now if it has like a huge impact on audio, or let's look at it after, because let's leave the area safe for audio, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
From your experience, what do you want people to know?
Communication. Really, it's so easy and so tricky at the same time. Communication, really. The other thing that I've learned, really, I think that's something really personal. I'm going to say it anyways, because maybe some people relate, but this is like really my personal experience, is there's always the imposter syndrome. But working with Internite for 3 years kind of really helped me with the imposter syndrome in some ways. And it kind of turned into the Jason Bourne syndrome, which is you're getting experience, but you don't really know you're getting experience.
I'd love to ask you how much of your time was prioritizing and scheduling, and how much was spent on dealing with people's emotions. Did that come into play at all?
Dealing with people emotions?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because I just talk about ego and stuff, obviously there's no place, at least for me, there shouldn't be a place for that. Truth is, there's always ego and stuff involved, right? But for emotions, it's normal to have emotions. It's normal for the emotions to just come up at work, because some people can handle the stress pretty well, some other can't. Some people can be frustrated as well. I've been frustrated so many times during the project, not because it was not going well, but probably because I was going through, it was my, again, first experience. So I was going through specific production moments that were like kind of new to me. And because of my background, which was advertising, project manager or account director, if something comes up, it's me. I need to fix it. I need to do it. I need to shake things up. I need to kill someone. I need to blow up a building. What needs to be done, and it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be now, literally. So emotions are fine. It's not an easy ride, never. And some people, again, can deal pretty well with stress. Some people can't really do it. But I think because we're all, again, super intertwined, we always support each other. It's, you have some really great times, you have some tough times sometimes, and it all depends how you can handle it. I mean, I've seen some people like sometimes not throwing a tantrum, but maybe overreacting, not in a great way towards some people from my team. It's completely fine. But do you need to talk not in a nice way to those people? No, let's just close the Zoom call. Like, oh, I think we've been disconnected. No, I removed you from the meeting because you were just way over the line. So take 5 minutes, one day, 2 days, whatever. When you come back, start with an apology and then we'll talk. Or one of my cinematics lead one day, was like, hey, can we have a meeting? Oh yeah, sure, let's have a meeting. What's wrong? And she was literally bursting into tears because she was so overwhelmed by the amount of work to be done and the amount of time that was dedicated to this specific part. And I was like, okay, I understand. Let's not cry. What do you need? You need more people? Okay, let's bring more people in, and no questions asked. And it's been sorted out in 3 days, like literally. So we brought outsourcers because we don't want people being emotional, yes, but
People breaking down.
breaking down, no. And again, if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling a bit emotional, if you're feeling a bit stressed, again, communication. Let's talk about it and see what we can do and how we can help, how we can accommodate. You're feeling you're having too much work? Okay, let's try to find something. There's something that is frustrating you because you don't understand it or because you're not managing doing it. Okay, let's talk about it. There's probably someone a bit more senior that can probably help. We can probably just shuffle things, I guess, just to avoid, burnout, being emotional, being just constantly stressed.